Welcome to Radio Free Will, a podcast for sovereign people. I'm your host, George McCullough, and with us today, once again, is Michelle Mockers, artist, activist, and philosopher. We're coming at you live and direct from Griggstown, New Jersey, and sorry, folks, we missed the last couple of weeks, but we're back at it.
We are back.
And hopefully we'll give you a good show. So before we start, I wanted to ask Michelle, you've had some problems with your neighbor, and you were in court recently.
But it's always the same thing, you know. If everybody, I told you that this morning, if everybody was like the neighbor, life would be impossible. So it's a neighbor who attack absolutely everybody about anything, passing too close to our property.
So what's the background of the story is that there's like a little alley between the two houses?
Yes, because not only the two houses, it goes through the whole little township, through the whole thing, because people could go from one side to the other side of the, let's say, of that group of, it's not a township, it is a group of houses. Since 1 century, it was something agreed to pass by, to pass through, and everybody walking the dog or kids were passing by. No, nobody can pass by because she is attacking everybody who pass by. And she restrained more than she should have her property. I mean, you don't have enough space to be on the other property, the next property. So, you know, it's impossible, but George, it's one of those things which are so stupid, if I can say so. And once more, why make life of people impossible? Very difficult because you are mean against everybody. So if everybody was like that, whole town would be at fire and fighting against each other, you know, all day long. And everybody could be a lawyer to go to court.
So before we started the show, you said something like the cops have been out for the last 2 weeks because she's been calling cops on the neighbors and stuff?
Oh, come on. She called the cops, everybody, to tell, every time, every day, to tell people, to tell the cops, oh, they are passing on my property. We are not passing, we are passing. I am not passing, but eventually the worst will be to pass one along the whole wall. She has a whole wall. It's not open.
A fence or a wall?
No. Wood. You know, real wood. You know,
and
wall.
She's blocked this path.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are something like 3 feet out of that wall which belongs to her, and beside that, she closed that more than 3 feet now because the neighbor also has 3 feet. So let's say that she closed 5 feet.
And so she's encroaching on your property.
Of course, she's a pain in the neck for everybody, for absolutely everybody in town.
And it doesn't bother you or Anne that people pass through this to go
No,
cut through to go to the park?
Absolutely. Come on, I should say. On the contrary, it's nice if people could pass by, could go through the whole township. You know, through that passage which go from one street to the other street. It goes all the way, and she stops it. So for more than 1 century, it was completely open. There was no question at all. Everybody was passing by. I saw the people, the dogs, the kids, everybody passing by.
It's kind of nice. You say hello to your neighbors.
Yes, absolutely. But so we have people like that on Earth, my dear, and it's why the Earth itself has never been at peace, because you have people who cannot be at peace. They are not at peace. They have something wrong in their mind. They are not at peace.
And so you had to go to court over this.
Of course you have to go to court. She attacks. You don't attack her, she attacks, so you have to answer her attacks.
And the solution in the court was that you guys have to get a survey.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we'll find out
exactly
what
the story is.
So this brings me to the point we were talking about before the show, is you were researching the professions of our representatives in the government.
Yes, and I didn't believe it when I went to the Senate, and one after the other, and I stopped. I should say I stop after a certain number. I stop. So and so lawyer, so and so lawyer, so and so lawyer, 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 lawyer. The government, the Senate, is made of lawyers, of people who don't put their feet in the field. You know, who do not know what is agriculture, what is fishing, what is anything. They are lawyers, my dear. We are a government of lawyers. That's a very practical government.
And so when because lawyers pass laws, that's what they like to do. They'll pass laws on fishing without knowing what's going on.
Without knowing how to fish. Maybe we exaggerate the image, but it is that, my dear. It's a government of lawyers. People out of the reality of life, discussing books of laws, discussing laws. That's it. That's their life. They discuss laws.
And do you think they represent the public?
No.
Or is it possible
No, for that reason, they do not represent the public. You know, they are not workers on the street paving the road. They absolutely ignore absolutely all that. So it's all in their mind that they make a government. I go further than that, my dear. It's the reason why, in fact, when you look at the Constitution, we repeat ourselves, but sometimes it's eventually you cannot do otherwise than repeating yourself. You know, you look at the Constitution, you have one document who provides all the details for those lawyers. All the details how to be elected, to be against the election, to be blah, 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 blah. All details for the government to function. Absolutely no detail at all on economy. The people who wrote that constitution were people at the time where they were still at slaves, and they were not concerned with the coming steam engine, all that. Not at all. So the constitution is a piece of law, nothing else, not practical. When you want to go to what the Constitution do for the people, the Constitution do only one thing for the people. 3 words: welfare of the people. That's it. Absolutely nothing, you know, is the time of the steam engine, which is going to transform completely the life, which is going to create communism, by the way. It's the capitalists who created communism by exploiting the workers. We were fed up and went to Marx because Marx said, hey, let's go free. But, my dear, once more, and we are still today, 3 centuries later, the Constitution, Jefferson himself said that the Constitution should be rewritten by every generation according to its needs. We are with the same Constitution since 3 centuries, with not really taking care of the people.
And so it's about time that it's been rewritten.
It's about time, absolutely, to follow Jefferson and rewrite the Constitution, but make a Constitution of 2 parts. One is the government and one is the people. In the actual Constitution, the people, they do not exist. Only the government exists. So the people have to exist. And beside that, there are many more people today than there were people when they wrote the Constitution. And the more and more people, and the more and more the economic, you know, the economy is building itself. The economy is building itself. In fact, the philosophy, let's say that we have no philosophy. We are just capitalist people. We call it democratic because you don't go to jail because you do not agree with the way the neighbor is acting, but we do not have laws. We are still on the if you want, the contradiction of being free inside the town because you have to be, you have to be order, you have to be all that. So the lawyers, and at the same time, you have the underlying freedom to kill the competition. So it's a contradiction. It's a real contradiction. It's not a fake contradiction. Fake contradiction will be two. The elements are not contradictory, but they are different, and they can eventually oppose each other, but they still exist. But that is a real contradiction between you cannot kill and you can kill. And that is there is no philosophy. If you look clearly, there is no philosophy. America has no philosophy. It's the philosophy that was expressed in the 1500 by Thomas More. The rich make riches and make the laws to keep his riches. And that's it, in 1500.
But so if there weren't the lawyers and there weren't the government, how would this affect the issue that you're having with your neighbors? Trying to see?
So I think that you're
Because
obliged.
I'm taking I'm taking your macro and making it a micro issue here.
Yeah, but
You
you
need a way to settle that.
and you're
dispute.
obliged to go. The court obliges you, in fact, to go with lawyers, because if you don't go, if you do that, you will be condemned. Without even knowing why. You will be obliged to pay the. He is supposed to be have to 2 tickets, I believe, for something $2,000 for trespassing. The son of the neighbors has been also accused to be trespassed here. So, but with the court, you cannot do in other way than to have basically to have a lawyer. Basically, that's all. Lawyers are a necessity.
Well, you could represent yourself.
Or you can represent yourself.
Might
Yes.
be a little dangerous, but
Yes, but you have to know exactly what you want to say and what you have to say, and you have to know exactly what the law says, and so and so. So most of the time, people have a lawyer because they are not able to defend themselves. They don't know the law enough to defend themselves, and that's
it's
the whole
nearly
system.
impossible to know all the laws.
Oh, no, it's absolutely impossible. So according to what is the problem, you eventually are obliged to take a lawyer because he knows what you don't know. And he can defend you eventually. What is wonderful is that the lawyer can also defend somebody that they know is guilty to prove that it is not guilty. Come on.
But
It's a question of money, my dear.
But so if there was no the government, how do you think this dispute would get settled? Through violence?
No, you cannot set up disputes of violence. You have to have laws, but laws to live in society are sometimes laws which are, I should say, even say against nature itself. Because if you were just following nature, life in society would be absolutely impossible. So you can say that the law to live in society are eventually law against nature. But you have to have laws, otherwise it's a total anarchy, and that's impossible. Now, you also have people who have a goodwill and people who don't have a goodwill. And you have people who are nice people and will eventually find a solution to a problem with discussing nicely, and people who do not, like her, just go bang, 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 and and you don't even know why. You don't even know why. Why is like that? Maybe she needs a doctor. Let's put it that way, and be examined, mind. I don't want to say that because she's going to attack me, and I am going to be in court for saying.
She could be listening to the show right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would be good. But it's let's say it's a problem which is almost, I should say, everywhere. You have the problem between individual, and you have the problem between group of individual, and you have the same problem between nations, and you don't know sometimes why nations are doing things. Of course, I'm talking about myself, and I participate participate actively to World War II. Why World War II? Someday, one man say, "Hey, you go on my property." He was talking about the Polish going over the border of Germany. That gives him the occasion to attack the Polish. That was completely, let's say in good English, bullshit. It did not exist. He just said that. And he attacked the Polish because he said the Polish are attacking me. You can do the same thing with neighbors. Between you say, he's attacking me, and you can do exactly the same thing. Result was 50 million people dead, but so what?
Well, in nature, there wouldn't be any property line, right?
No.
Wouldn't that be better?
Well, you have to have, when you have
Or
a million and million of people, you have to, anyway, to tell them to behave correctly. Otherwise, if you allow absolutely everything, it will become absolutely impossible. You will cook your meal in the middle of the street with a fire, saying, that's what I like. Yeah, come on.
Well, and what is the old saying, good fences make good neighbors, right?
Of course,
That's what's happening in your neighborhood?
It's always a question of, once more, it's not many times the occasion, or if you want the pretext, is something which is absolutely superficial and could be absolutely, you could find a solution just by talking, But some people don't want to talk, absolutely don't want to talk. And some people, once more, I don't say about her, about that, but in the case that I was talking about a very famous man, Hitler, saying, you step on our territory when it's not true. Don't step on their territory.
The Polish never invaded.
No, absolutely not. Come on. So he wanted to invade Polish. So he found a pretext saying, "Oh, the Polish invade us.
So it
they
was
come
a
to
false
us."
flag.
So we have to, of course, absolutely. But maybe she is right on the 3, let's say 3 feet, and she is right. No, she is not right because she takes over 3 feet. She takes about 5 feet out of 6. But she could say, hey, and beside that she has a wall. So she could be absolutely say, hey, people can pass by. They pass by since 1 century. Why not respect my wall? Blah 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 blah. But no, she attacks everybody.
And how long has this been going on for?
Oh, several years now.
And it's just getting to court?
No, it went several times to court, and she managed in such a way that the people were losing.
She keeps winning?
I did not follow enough those cases.
Well, this neighbor lives right next door to you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's a good thing
So
it's
if she
winter.
listens to that, she'll be very pleased.
It's a good thing it's winter because you're not outside.
Yeah, I'm inside. Yeah.
Did
Plus
she
you-
say anything when you guys took down your tree?
I don't know.
You
I
had
don't know.
a couple of trees taken down.
Yeah, several. Yeah, I cannot go into all the details of that story because beside that, I will eventually say details which are not completely true. I don't want to interfere in that story. I just say the latest I know of the story, if you want. The latest I know of the story is that it's a story that has no reason to be. That's what makes me mad, It's a reason when, when I think of it, and I repeat myself, but you have only one life. When I hear the German bullet on my ears, I hear them zzz, and not zit, zzz, they turn. When I hear that, it's exactly. I didn't know those guys. They were shooting at me. Why they were shooting at me? After that, maybe for the aperitif time, we would have a drink together. Who knows? They maybe had absolutely nothing against me.
Well, they were just following orders.
They were following orders to shoot me. Dear, I don't know how I am talking to you today. I don't know. Because when you hear so many bullets that I hear at least a dozen of bullets. Clearly, and they don't go very far from you if you listen to them very well. And they did not touch me. I cannot understand that. I cannot understand 3 times why I'm talking to you. Once I was going with a Citroën, I had the classic Citroën, the classic Citroën, but I had the classic Citroën. And I went to give an order to a man who was the chief of a big group, and you had a house in that little village, and we knew that he was in the village. So my boss told me to go and give him an order to move, and so on, and so on. So I went with my car, and the street was allowing a street going low, up to a little piazza, if you want, which was the only little piazza in town. So I cut the gas, not to make any noise, and I went slowly with the car. I happened in the middle of the town. Absolutely nobody. It was night. One house were aflame. You could see big flame. His house. The man that was going to give
The house
orders.
was burning.
Yeah. So I stopped in the middle of that little piazza. Absolutely no noise at all. And I get out of the car. I went straight like that. I get out of the car, and my door opened on the plaza, not on the other side, not against the wall, no, on the plaza. So I take out of the car, and a bullet, boom, just above my head. But it was not a gun. It was a bullet, bullet of a tank. Bullet of a tank. He missed me. He missed me again. I heard the bullet, bang, So I start running.
What
I
happened to
I
the
said
car?
they're going to shoot at me again. No, the tank started to move, to follow me. But I should have been dead. I've not been dead. I'm not dead. I talk to you. The last time I was shot at, I opened the door. I was at the hotel. What was the name? The hotel in Valençay, big hotel.
And why were you in this town, the piazza?
Huh?
Why were you in the piazza?
To stop there, to go precisely to go to the house which was burning, to give his owner, he was the creator of a big maquis around, to give the order to move, not the order to ask him to move to another place to help. So I had to do that, and I did after that. I found him, and I gave him the order. And he looked at his house, and he put the house on the side, and it was a beautiful house, with paintings and everything. And, and paintings of value, excuse me. But it was the Africa Corps that came that night. They had put all the containers of the electric line, the railroad line was electrical with those big containers, those big things to carry the electricity. They had put everything on, but it was an armored train with the Africa Corps. So he didn't pay attention when he saw the first German. He didn't took it for a German. He took it for one of his own men. And then after that, he understood it was a German. And he escaped. That's another story. He escaped. And at that time, that was the time where I went over there, and I was shot at by the tank. It was a big bullet, shot by the tank, but they didn't shoot twice. They started to move to follow me, and they follow me. In fact, I will tell you that story another time. They follow me.
And where did you run? Into the woods?
No. I went into one of the houses of the village. The only window I found open. And I stopped the story here because there's another story. But you see,
Folks, you're going to have to listen next week when Michel finishes this story.
Yeah.
So the guy's house, was he French or German that you were going to visit?
No, he was French.
He was French.
He was a Frenchman. The last thing where I was really personally shot at was I was in the Hôtel d'Espagne, which is a good hotel in Valençay, and I was going out of it. Maybe I stopped to eat or whatever it is. I stopped to it. I opened there was a big door, because in the old time it was for the horses. There was a place for the horses to change the horses with the wagons and so. So I opened that big door, and when I opened that big door and go outside, there is a German truck coming from, I absolutely don't know where, a flat truck. And the flat truck, there was a machine gun, not a machine gun, an anti-airplane gun. But he was horizontal instead of being vertical. And there was one man. And when that man saw me, he turned the gun and shoot at me. And the bullet went just under my nose, on the wall. That's the 3 times, my dear, I should have been dead. And I'm
he
not
only
dead, I
shot-
talk to you tonight.
He only shot the one time?
Huh?
He only shot one time? I thought those anti-aircraft things.
No, but he
Shot
used
out.
it. No, he used it. He used it to defend her own truck. You know, they were trying. The Germans were trying to go back to Germany. They didn't have so many roads to go back to Germany because in the center of France they could not go. The roads are too difficult. So, and beside that, they wanted to go to Vierzon, where the only railroad was possible to Germany. That was the last one. It was during the D-Day, and it was an invasion. You know, the whole Normandy was already under the Allied. So they were trying to escape as much as possible, and where they were passing where I was. There was no other road. So they were obliged to pass by that direction. So it's why I met so many of them. I met so many of them other times. I don't want to tell you the story because, you know, we would just call story about that, which was not the subject today. The subject today, my dear, is me to say that we are a society completely out of nothing, nowhere, a society of business, completely out of nature, completely out of really what man is. It's business, nothing else. We are not a democracy, we are a capitalism. The democracy never existed because to have democracy, you have to have an education that we don't have, you have the condition that we don't have. We are not a democracy, we are peaceful but capitalist. To be capitalist, you have to be as much as possible peaceful to make money. So that's the only real, if you want, philosophy of America is capitalism. Not
Is America the only capitalist country?
as much as America, yes, it's America.
No, but is it the only one?
No, all European, if you want, live, but European are more, they are much more, I should say, I don't want to use a big word, but they have a philosophy that the America does not have.
And that is what?
But you know, because you know, American something wonderful. Most Americans don't know that something else existed before the American Revolution. I saw students of Princeton University who had absolutely no idea of what Europe had been in the past, why they were there. They didn't know.
Well, it was
They
kings
absolutely
and
didn't know.
queens, right?
Huh?
It was kings and queens before the
Maybe.
modern form
Today
of government.
we have a president. The only difference is that the president is for a few years, and the king and queens were basically for life. The very strange things today, the most strange things that happens today, but it's always a repetition, you know. You see the communist, China. Communists, supposedly, the ultimate of communism is that the proletariat is the contradiction of bourgeoisie. And according to Mr. Karl Marx, the contradiction is solved by the disappearance of one of the two terms. And society goes on. In other words, the proletariat has to make the bourgeoisie disappear to create the classless society. But even Marx was not able to say what was or what would become of the classless society. And what becomes of the classless society is very simple. One man elected for life today in China. Why? Because precisely the whole country needs somebody to govern it. There is nobody to govern it. The classless society govern what? It's a society which has no idea. So finally, it comes back in the Middle Ages where the whole group gives to one man the power of executing, if you want.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be like that.
My dear,
But- or you're
there is
saying
no
it's-
other solution. Listen, in Europe, for centuries, you had that. They are back to Europe in the Middle Ages when the king, you were talking yourself, you said that, where the king was elected, and the king was elected for life. And the
But that was back in Europe during those times. It was not a classless society, though. You had
No,
multiple classes.
It was not a classless society, but today that supposedly classless society, which has no idea, according to Marx, the people do not have a conscience. They should not have a conscience. The people are not directed by their conscience. They are directed by their way of living. Means that it's a society with no conscience. Basically, according to Karl Marx, if you read Karl Marx. So what is the result? The result is a society with no conscience, but one man to govern that society, because that society cannot govern itself, it has no conscience.
Why couldn't that society govern itself?
How can you govern yourself? And especially if you have no conscience. The only way to govern yourself is the way you are living. The material life is the life which governs you. Not the way you think, not your emotions, no nothing at all. The way you live is the reality of life, my dear. So the reality of life is that the group needs to have
You don't believe that people are born with a moral structure?
People are born with a moral structure, but the precisely the communist is to erase that moral structure and to make the classless society is a society with, according to Karl Marx, my dear, a society with no sentiment, no nothing, that does not exist. What exists?
I don't know if I believe that, but
No, you don't believe it, but it's like that.
I mean, if you're born with a moral compass, you're born with morals.
But if you become a communist, you forget that. You have to forget that. Read Marx. You have to forget that, my dear.
Why?
The conscience. The man must have no conscience, because it's not the conscience that governs man. It's the way he is living. So you have the classless society, which has been the bourgeoisie has been destroyed by the proletariat. You have the classless society, but the classless society today happens to do what is absolutely against Marx, because it's not the dictatorship of the proletariat, it's one man directing the whole thing. For life, like a king.
It doesn't have to be like that, though. It doesn't.
It doesn't have to be, it is. It is. Instead of the society, a classless society, it's one man who is in charge.
That's just the way that system has evolved, but it doesn't have to be like that.
And listen, and for life. He's elected for life, like a king, elected for life.
Well, then you can kill him and get rid of him.
To replace by another one. We would do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, but I see. You could have a democracy in that system. You could.
How do you do that?
You just like we have a capitalist system that supposedly that's democratic. You could have a democratic communist system. You could have the public make the rules and regulations.
Oh yeah.
You don't need kings and queens.
Yeah, but then you're you are neglecting Karl Marx, my dear. You are just putting Karl Marx away. But Karl Marx, unfortunately.
Well, everybody gets put away sometime.
Yeah, but not now.
You know?
Not now. Now is that society that Karl Marx said is a classless society. It's the government of a classless society. But the classless society is unable to govern itself. So
I don't know if I believe that.
The classless society give the direction exactly like in the Middle Ages, give the direction to one man, elected for life, like a king.
That's just that one person just kind of convinced everybody that he should be king. But it doesn't have to be like that.
It doesn't have to be, but it is.
It would start with education. You educate the people to manage
But you
their own
have not a
affairs.
free education in the communist system.
Hmm?
You have not a free education.
Why not?
Because you don't have the books, you don't have the teachers, you have nothing at all. You just have what the government say is the education.
Well, we have that in this society too.
No.
What?
No.
in
You
America?
can read what you want.
Only if
They don't read. That's something else. They don't read. But you can read what you want here. You can be what you want. You can follow what you want. You can be religious like you want. You can be everything. Not with the communist.
Why not?
Because the communists, my dear, read Karl Marx.
Because you could have
Of
you could
course-
have a free press in a communist society.
No. There is no free press in a communist society.
You
There is a
could, but you
communist-
could have it. It might not exist,
It will not
but
be.
you could
It will
have
not
it.
be a communist society.
Why
It
not?
will be something else.
I don't see. I don't. buy that.
George, the communist society follows what Mr. Karl Marx and Engels and all that said. They exactly follow that. It is what they created. And why did they create that, by the way? They created that because of the capitalist. It's the capitalist who created communism. Because in the 16th century, when the shuttle became an automatic shuttle, means that your clothes were made with a machine instead of being made by hand, it was the beginning of the real business, the real industry. And the beginning of the real industry coincided very soon with the creation of the steam engine. And the steam engine, which was expensive, was owned by the people who had the money to buy the steam engine. But
Right.
instead of being nice people and create a nice society and create a nice, industry, they created a town which were so disgusting.
So
when you
what?
read that, it's absolutely disgusting.
So what happens next? What comes next?
Us.
After capitalism, after communism,
Nobody.
when the robots take over, something has to replace everything, right?
George, there is one thing that existed since the beginning of let's say, humanity, thinking humanity, or let's say the cave people, to talk about them, because the cave people are the only one to leave real, leave real things on the wall of their cave, real drawings and real things like that. So since a man or a woman, you don't know, left, I always take the example of that hand that was printed on the wall of a cave. That is pure painting. And painting as a way to do it, as a philosophy to create painting. Because when you create painting, you put two things together. You create an abstraction, which is the inspiration for the painting, and you create and on the other hand, you have the tools to express the idea that you had. In other words, you can put those two things together to create a painting. And that has never, except for us, being exploited as a possible philosophy for humanity. And it's a peaceful, it's basically a peaceful philosophy. You cannot make war with a painting. It's absolutely, even if your painting disagree with society, that's something else. But even a painting disagreeing with society is inspiration and realization and make together. So in other words, the philosophy of painting, which is to consider that the things are not contradictory, but sometimes they are very opposed, but they are dependent of each other. In the painting, the abstract depends from the physical, and the physical depends from the abstract. Otherwise, there is no painting. So, if you go with that, instead of considering things like contradictory, you consider them as complementary eventually, and you put them together to create a piece of art. You can together to create a society, which has never been done. Absolutely never been done. The philosophy of painting, which is painting, sculpting, whatever arts, arts are the only thing by which we can judge the past civilization, because art left pieces that we can study.
You couldn't history. You couldn't study
History written by whom? History written, my dear, the written history is less than 6,000 years. Before, let's say, Summer, things like that, there was no written history. It was only by that. So 50,000 years of blah, blah, blah? No, forget it. Written history is maximum 6,000 years old. That's it. No more than that. And so it's well, before that, the only thing that you know from the people who live before us is the piece of art that they left behind them. Written, sculpted, painted, whatever it is.
Architecture.
Architecture and all that it is. Only pieces of art, nothing else, because there was no literature. And the literature really begins, let's say, the real literature begins with the Greeks. The Greeks and
What about the Egyptians?
well, but that's 3,000 years ago, my dear. No more than that. It's no more. It's no more than that.
But the Egyptians were before
The
the Greek.
Egyptian, but before you have writing history, what we can call writing history that you can read in the book, it's 6,000 years. That's it. Before that, you read that in some monuments that have been signed, and you can eventually say it was in that year or that year or that year. You can say that like that. But real written history that you can follow to understand humanity, it's 6,000 years, no more, basically no more than that. You know, it is the Greeks who invented literature, theater, Olympic Games, sculpture. Then in 2 centuries, invented absolutely everything. And then it disappears with the Romans. And it was rediscovered after that, the sculpture.
And what happened, how did Greek society fall apart?
Because the Greek society had the same disease. At that time, it was a little more faster going, at the same disease that some capitalists have, too much money. They ask too much money from the town they were supposed to support. So they were asking, let's say, a tax. They were taxing
they
the
were
town,
taxing
and they
people too
taxed them so much that they revolted and put Athens down.
And you think that's what's going to happen here? Because we do get taxed a lot, and we don't get a lot for our money.
My dear, all our money disappear in something absolutely useless, armies. Armies are good at one thing, kill the people. That's it. They are done to kill the people. They are done for 2 things. They kill the people, and on the other side, make some people rich by putting their money in building the armaments. Oh, that's a very big business. It's a very big industry, you know. So as long as we will not have, and it's where, if you want the philosophy of the arts, I don't care if the Chinese, I don't care. We are friends with them. We are friends with everybody. We are friends. We build a big.
You can be a friend with a communist?
Oh, absolutely. Why not? If they want to be communists, they can be communists. You can be what you want.
You could be friends with a capitalist.
Huh?
Can you be friends with a capitalist?
With the Catholics?
Capitalist.
Oh, the capitalist?
Yeah.
The capitalist.
Can you be friends?
The capitalist, my dear. The capitalist, you have only one thing. You can be friend with them, but you have to put them a maximum than they can do. You know, what is the problem, and it's where Thomas More in 1500, he said the whole business of the people with money is to make money and to make laws to keep their money. And if they were a little more, all the people could eat, but no, they take all the money. So it's exactly the same thing, my dear. We are not in a democracy. We have absolutely no real democracy in America. It's a peaceful, in some ways. We defend our industry. We defend our people. But hey, come on. It's not a democracy. To make a democracy means that all the people participate. And not in America, all the people do not participate. If you do not have the instruction to participate, how can you participate? If you don't give the instruction to every citizen, how can you participate? And we don't. So we are not Democrats. We are more or less peaceful capitalists. There is a capitalism, democratic capitalism. Means you have the right to be a capitalist in peace.
Michelle, we've reached the end of our program.
I don't know if we talk about serious things.
But you're going to keep us posted on your neighbor issues, right?
Yeah, but
keep-
nothing will happen in the coming. I don't believe that something will happen very recent. I will tell you in any case.
Well,
if
but
something-
our audience wants
yeah,
to know.
Yeah, we will tell the audience what went on, you know. But once more, that doesn't change the fact that when you consider the Senate, and it started to look at the names, everyone was a lawyer. And lawyers are not practical people. I mean, they are people in books. They live by the books of laws.
You know you're in trouble when a lot of lawyers are in your life.
Yes. I'm one of my father in not father. Son-in-law is a lawyer, so he should not listen to me.
And Thanksgiving dinners are good conversations.
We don't talk about that. My dear. We don't talk about that, and I don't talk about politics and lawyers. But it is a fact that the people were just the government made
Making
of,
you laugh,
made
huh,
of
Michel?
lawyers. Made of lawyers is not a government with the feet on the ground, the feet in the books.
Before we go, we want to make sure that everybody has your contact information in case some of these lawyers want to contact you.
Oh, absolutely! I'd be very happy.
And how can they reach you?
You can reach me at two ways, my dear, or by email, which is Michel Mockers, one word, Michel Mockers @gmail, or you can go into our website, which is we are the no pennies. We are not the rich, so we are the no-pennies.org.
.org or .com?
Or both, or com and the other one. We have the three of them.
Both
Yeah.
goes to the
We have
same
the three
place.
of them because you're never sure that somebody will not take it with, you have com and somebody will have org. So I took the three of them.
Well, I want to thank everybody for listening today. Please listen next week, and Michelle will have more delightful stories for you. Right?
Well, I believe I talk a little too much about myself, being shot by the Germans, but, being shot, it has been the story of the war since men are together, they fight. When they could be just nice and not fight and enjoy themselves, I don't. That's where I've. You know my age, so I saw once. I am born 4 years after World War I, and World War I was supposed to be the last of the last. That was the big word at that time, the last of the last wars. And unfortunately, I participate to the second one. The first one was 11 million dead, soldiers dead. The second one was 50 million people, not only soldiers, dead. So, all that is very blah, blah, blah. And it could be another way. It could be another way if we were not maybe going so much in laws, but a little more in nature.
I tend to agree with you. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Please join us next week for another episode of Radio Free Will.